In the Kingdom of Korea, North Africa, a sniper is waiting with his partner for their target to arrive. They are both hiding with their rifles aimed, ready for action. However, as soon as the target comes into view, the sniper becomes uneasy because he recognizes the target very well. This sniper is none other than Cha Dal-geon himself. A flashback is shown where Cha Dal-geon is showing his taekwondo skills. While practicing different moves, he accidentally breaks his sparring partner's neck. Later, he makes another mistake and hits his head hard, causing it to bleed. Seeing this, his nephew Hoon starts crying, but Cha Dal-geon reassures him, saying that he's fine and that he's used to getting injured like this. Despite his risky job, he spends quality time with his nephew Hoon, teaching him judo, karate, and taekwondo techniques. Eventually, he even helps Hoon earn a black belt. Hoon lost his parents in an accident, and Dal-geon has taken on the responsibility of helping Hoon grow into a fine young man. On the other hand, Jessica Lee, the director of John and Mark Asia, is speaking at a government event. John and Mark, a leading weapon manufacturing company from the USA, is competing against Dynamic, a Korean company known for producing better and more affordable aircraft. Despite this, Jessica insists that her company's Thunder aircraft are far superior to Dynamic's, leading her to place a bid that is 1 trillion won higher. The government now has to make a decision on this. On the other hand, despite working as a stuntman, Dal-geon doesn't earn enough to cover his household bills. Hoon calls him, worried that if they don't pay the electricity bill this month, their power will be cut off. Dal-geon tries to borrow money from a friend, but the friend brushes it off as a joke, while Hoon, frustrated, throws Dal-geon's liquor bottles into the trash outside and wishes his uncle would stop drinking. While doing so, he notices a discarded handbook that reveals Dal-geon's dream of becoming Korea's Bruce Lee. However, due to financial struggles, Dal-geon couldn't pursue his dream. During dinner, Hoon is upset with Dal-geon for not giving up alcohol and working harder to achieve his dream. However, he doesn't express this directly and instead just shows his anger. Dal-geon, confused by Hoon's attitude, reassures him that he'll soon earn enough money to fulfill all of Hoon's wishes. He then shows Hoon an invitation card explaining that Korea's taekwondo team has been invited to Morocco to celebrate 50 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Dal-geon suggests that Hoon should go to Morocco and that he'll enjoy it, but Hoon is not interested. Meanwhile, at the Korean embassy in Morocco, Go Hae-ri, Korea's National Intelligence Service agent, arrives late to a meeting. She places her files on the table only to realize that the meeting had ended long ago. The Korean ambassador reprimands her, saying he has never seen any intern be so careless. She apologizes, and as the other agents leave the hall, Hae-ri discreetly locks the door and gets to work on her secret mission. She tries to extract a device hidden inside a clock on the wall, but just then, an embassy agent, Kim Ho-sik, enters and asks why she locked the door. Hae-ri quickly replies that she was just changing her clothes. Satisfied with the answer, he leaves, allowing Hae-ri to continue her task. She successfully retrieves the device and hides it inside her lipstick. Meanwhile, Jessica asks her lawyer, Hong Sung-byum, about the government's leanings regarding which company's bid they are likely to accept. Hong informs her that the president currently favors Dynamic Company, which worries Jessica. She insists that they must find a way to sway the government in favor of their company. Frustrated, she scolds Michael Almeida, the vice president of John and Mark. She warns him that if he doesn't do something, they could both be in serious trouble. Michael assures her that he is doing everything he can. A week passes, and Hoon is preparing for his taekwondo team's official trip to Morocco. He's still upset with Dal-geon, who in frustration demands to know why Hoon is angry with him. Hoon responds that it's something Dal-geon wouldn't understand. Dal-geon had made fried eggs for him, trying to get him to eat, but Hoon refuses and walks away. Meanwhile, in Portugal, something strange is happening. Michael is being pursued by gangsters and is desperately trying to escape. He attempts to call the airport, warning them that the Boeing B-357 flight scheduled to travel from Korea to Morocco tonight is going to crash and that they need to stop the flight. However, his phone gets hacked before he can relay the full message. Meanwhile, Hoon is waiting at the airport for his flight. He sends Dal-geon a voice message saying that he is heading to board the plane. The other families also exchange farewells. Among them is Park Kwang-deok, who is overjoyed when his wife tells him she is pregnant. He celebrates with excitement. Similarly, the Taekwondo team's coach receives best wishes from his sister, Cha Young. Meanwhile, the other kids are also exchanging farewell wishes with their parents. On the other side, Michael finally manages to make a call to the airport using a public phone. He urgently warns an employee that the plane B-357 is going to crash and needs to be stopped. The employee is shocked, and as she tries to share this information with her colleagues, a fire breaks out in the airport office, causing panic and chaos. Amid the confusion, a stranger attaches an electrical chip to the employee's neck, rendering her unconscious. Back on the B-357, Hoon is enjoying himself with friends, recording on his mobile phone, when he accidentally bumps into a suspicious man and drops his phone. The stranger picks up the phone and hands it back to him, then sits down, but Hoon watches him with concern. Meanwhile, the plane's pilot, Kim Woo-gi, calls his wife and starts speaking romantically to her in Spanish. While in Portugal, Michael is finally captured by gangsters who shoot him and leave him dead. On the other hand, Hae-ri, armed with a gun, makes a call and reports that Michael has committed the unthinkable and that all evidence has been erased. Meanwhile, on the plane, the same suspicious man sneaks into the engine under the pretense of using the restroom. He sabotages the oxygen cylinders, causing the cabin air to deplete and forcing passengers to put on their oxygen masks. Shortly after, the engine explodes and the plane starts to rapidly descend. Hoon, who is typing a final message to Dal-geon on his mobile, loses consciousness like the other passengers. The plane ultimately crashes and explodes in the Moroccan seas, killing everyone on board. The next day, the news spreads across national media. Dal-geon, while eating, hears the devastating report on TV that Dynamic Company's B-357 has been destroyed, and all the Taekwondo team members and other passengers are dead. Overwhelmed with grief and disbelief, Dal-geon struggles to eat and is in shock. Korea's president, Yoon Kuk-pyo, publicly expresses his sorrow over the tragedy and apologizes to the nation. Dal-geon receives footage from before the plane crash, where he sees Hoon aboard the plane. Dal-geon is devastated and begins to cry uncontrollably. In the video, he also notices the suspicious man who bumped into Hoon. Distressed, Dal-geon shuts his laptop, unable to bear the sight. Since the crashed plane belonged to Dynamic Company, the company officials publicly apologized for the failure of their aircraft technology. Suddenly, during a press conference, the bereaved families of the victims confront Dynamic's officials, attacking them with intense anger. Jessica, witnessing this scene, is pleased and leaves with a sinister smile. The grieving family members are sent by the government to Morocco to attend the funerals of their loved ones. The Korean embassy in Morocco is hosting them, with Go Hae-ri and Kim Ho-sik serving as their guides. Dal-geon, while at the airport washroom, notices the same suspicious man from the footage who had bumped into Hoon. Recognizing him, Dal-geon is astonished and troubled by the fact that the man is still alive. He chases after him, but the man quickly escapes in a car. Dal-geon follows in a taxi and gets close to the man. When Dal-geon confronts him, asking who he is and how he survived the crash, the man responds by firing a gun at Dal-geon. Dal-geon dodges the shots, and a fierce fight ensues between them. During the struggle, Dal-geon notices a strange symbol on the man's chest. Despite being pushed away, Dal-geon continues the fight. The man manages to injure Dal-geon and escapes, but Dal-geon uses his taekwondo and judo skills to climb up to the roof, where he eventually finds the man again. The suspect tries to steal a car, but Dal-geon leaps from the roof onto the vehicle, leading to a brutal confrontation. Ultimately, the man succeeds in throwing Dal-geon off and escapes. On the other hand, the bereaved families are gathered in a hall, where Edward Park, the CEO of Dynamic Company Asia, arrives to speak with them. As soon as he enters, the families erupt in anger and rush at him. Park Kwang, a karate master, is about to throw a chair at Edward Park, but manages to restrain himself when he sees that Edward Park is not resisting and is openly acknowledging his company's faults. Edward Park explains that, just as their loved ones died in the plane crash, his own family had also been victims of a similar tragedy years ago. He informs them that Dynamic's head office has agreed to offer compensation for their losses, but insists that they should take a stand and seek justice in court. Park emphasizes that money cannot replace lives. At that moment, Dal-geon, injured, enters the hall and reveals a significant piece of information that the plane crash was not due to a technical failure, but was a terrorist attack. This news shocks and alarms everyone. Dal-geon asks Hae-ri if she remembers seeing the terrorist at the airport when she was there, and if she recalls his face. He shows everyone a video on his laptop that displays the terrorist's face. Hae-ri admits that she does not remember the exact appearance of the man Dal-geon chased. When they review the airport's CCTV footage, they see a different person in place of the suspected terrorist. Dal-geon suspects that the footage has been tampered with, but finds it hard to convince others. Doubting Hae-ri, Dal-geon follows her and eventually he breaks into her home to investigate. During the search, he finds a card identifying Hae-ri as an agent of the Korean National Intelligence Service. At that moment, Hae-ri receives a call, and Dal-geon instructs her to answer it. This clears Dal-geon's doubts, revealing that Hae-ri is indeed a genuine intelligence agent and that she is in Morocco to apprehend the Korean ambassador involved in drug dealing. She has no connection to the plane crash. Dal-geon requests Hae-ri's assistance in uncovering the truth behind the terrorist attack on the plane. He tells her that, as an intelligence agent, it is her responsibility to capture the corrupt officials behind the attack. She agrees to help Dal-geon, moved by his quest for revenge for his nephew. Dal-geon shares Hoon's final video with Hae-ri, who examines it closely. She also sends a copy of the video to her colleague Gong Hwa-suk, asking her to begin an investigation. Meanwhile, in the Blue House, President Yoon Kuk-pyo, Prime Minister Hong Soon-jo, Senior Secretary Yoon Han-ki, and Defense Minister Park Man-young are debating whether Dynamic or John and Mark should be awarded the defense contract. The president suggests that since public trust in Dynamic has diminished after the plane crash, John and Mark should be selected instead. However, Defense Minister Park Man-young argues that choosing John and Mark would be a heavy financial burden on the national treasury due to their higher costs. He believes that accidents with aircraft are common and that Dynamic should still be considered. This leads to a heated argument between Yoon Han-ki, who supports John and Mark, and Park Man-young. Ultimately, President Yoon Kuk-pyo dismisses them both from the meeting. Hae-ri informs her division head, Kang Joo-chul, over the phone that during her investigation into Michael's death in Portugal, she suspected that Michael did not commit the unthinkable, but was murdered. Kang Joo-chul is surprised by this revelation and is eager to learn more about the situation. Hae-ri comforts the bereaved family members and arranges for them to return to Korea. They thank her for her hospitality. On the other hand, Dal-geon decides not to return to Korea, but to stay in Morocco to track down the terrorist. However, when he opens his laptop, he is shocked to find that Hoon's video has disappeared. He spots a hotel employee who seems suspicious and starts chasing him. Dal-geon manages to catch him up, but Moroccan police arrive and arrest both of them. Meanwhile, Hwa-suk at the NIS office investigates Hoon's video and uses an advanced sound detection system to determine that the suspicious man was speaking Spanish. Meanwhile, Kim Ho-sik informs Hae-ri that Dal-geon has been arrested by the police. They both head to the police station, where Dal-geon is trying to explain that the hotel employee stole the video from his laptop. However, the employee denies the accusation. Frustrated, Dal-geon grabs the employee by his neck. The police threaten to shoot Dal-geon if he doesn't let go, but Hae-ri intervenes just in time to stop them. Dal-geon is released but is punished for breaking the law, while the hotel employee is set free. Later, Hae-ri visits Dr. Kevin Kim, who is conducting forensic analysis of the plane incident. He plays sound recordings from before the crash, which feature the pilot, Kim Woo-gi, speaking in Spanish. Hae-ri notices the pilot used code words. Comparing these recordings with the time of the crash, she concludes that the crash was indeed caused by a terrorist attack. As she leaves, Dr. Kevin Kim watches her with a sinister gaze. In prison, Kim Ho-sik bribes the police with £1,500 to have Dal-geon released. He then takes Dal-geon to a gas station and asks him to grab a drink for him. While Dal-geon is in the shop, a man with a rifle enters, threatens the shopkeeper, and chases Dal-geon. Dal-geon narrowly avoids being shot. He then grabs an air freshener can and tosses it into the microwave, resulting in a massive explosion. The gunman gets injured and he makes a run for Kim Ho-sik's car. However, the gunman doesn't give up easily and continues firing at Dal-geon. One of the bullets hits Kim Ho-sik. Dal-geon quickly gets him into the car and speeds towards the hospital. Upon arrival, doctors rush Kim Ho-sik into surgery. When Hae-ri returns to her flat, she is suddenly attacked by a masked man. However, she manages to defeat him and quickly grabs a gun from her drawer, holding him at gunpoint. She demands he remove his mask, revealing that he is the same hotel employee Dal-geon had earlier confronted. She orders him to call the person who paid him to kill her. He dials the number and the call connects to Kim Ho-sik's phone. Dal-geon answers and informs her that Kim Ho-sik was shot and is currently undergoing surgery. Shocked, Hae-ri explains the situation to Dal-geon, revealing that Kim Ho-sik had sent the assassin to kill her. Dal-geon is equally surprised and rushes to find Kim Ho-sik in the hospital ward, only to discover that he has escaped. He chases after him, and Hae-ri arrives just in time to join the pursuit. They manage to catch Kim Ho-sik and question him about his betrayal and who he is working for. Meanwhile, a sniper is positioned on a nearby rooftop, aiming at Kim Ho-sik to prevent him from revealing any information. Before he can say much, Kim Ho-sik swallows poison and dies, warning them before his death that the people behind this are ruthless and that they should drop the plane case. At that moment, the sniper fires, forcing Dal-geon and Hae-ri to take cover behind a car. Hae-ri attempts to call for backup while the sniper continues to fire at him. Dal-geon takes Hae-ri's pistol, insisting that he can defend their lives better. They decide to make a run for the rooftop, planning to reach it within the 3 seconds it takes for the sniper to reload. Dal-geon provides cover fire, and they sprint towards the next safe zone. Just as the sniper prepares to fire again, a group of agents arrives and stops him from taking the shot. When they reach the rooftop, they find that the sniper has already fled. Then, an unusual order is issued by NIS higher officials, and suddenly a team is sent to search Hwa-suk's division. They claim that they are there to ensure compliance with privacy policies. Hwa-suk desperately pleads with them not to take a particular flash drive. She doesn't reveal that it contains the video of Hoon that Hae-ri had sent her. Instead, she tells them that it holds her private photos and asks for it to be returned. However, the officials insist that they've been instructed by higher authorities to investigate everything. On the other side, Hae-ri calls Kang and briefs him about the assassination attempt on her and Dal-geon. Kang advises her to return to Korea immediately and report the incident. Hae-ri insists that Dal-geon accompany her, but he's reluctant. After much persuasion, Dal-geon finally agrees to go with her. Meanwhile, Jessica invites Defense Minister Park Man-young to a party at her house, where she begins to seduce him, trying to convince him to approve the FX deal in favor of her company. She even shows him files documenting his corruption, leaving Park with no choice but to accept Jessica's offer. Later, Jessica hires a professional assassin, Lily, paying her millions of won to kill Dal-geon. Lily immediately gets to work on the mission. During the return flight to Korea, an assassination attempt on Dal-geon is depicted, where an assassin uses an electric chip on his neck to incapacitate him. However, this is just a simulation of Lily's plan. The real assassination attempt begins shortly after. Dal-geon notices the reflection in Hae-ri's sunglasses, realizing someone is approaching to attack him from behind. He swiftly grabs the attacker's hand, twisting it and foiling the attempt. The attacker hides the electric chip and pretends to be innocent, managing to escape. Now back in Korea, Dal-geon and Hae-ri are greeted by Hwa-suk, who takes them to a restaurant. At the restaurant, Dal-geon meets Jo, a local newspaper reporter, who asks to speak with him privately. Jo reveals that he is investigating the B357 plane crash and needs Dal-geon's help in uncovering the truth. They meet privately at another restaurant, unaware that Hae-ri and Hwa-suk are secretly following them. The two women watch from a distance as Jo shares some startling information with Dal-geon. Jo reveals that there is likely involvement from high-ranking government officials in the plane crash. He mentions that shortly before the plane's departure, an airport staff member received an anonymous call warning that the plane would crash. However, just as she began to inform others, a fire broke out, causing panic. In the chaos, someone attached a chip to her neck, rendering her unconscious, and she has been in a brain-dead coma ever since. Jo further explains that the recent government FX project is a controversial issue between the Dynamic and John and Mark companies, which could be linked to the crash. He suggests that John and Mark might have orchestrated the crash to ruin Dynamic's reputation. Hearing this, Dal-geon is taken aback and begins to believe Jo's claims. Suddenly, Jo receives a call from an informant who claims to have information about the B357 crash and has arranged to meet him at a hotel. When Dal-geon inquires about the informant, Jo explains that the person insisted on keeping their identity private. Dal-geon decides to accompany Jo to the hotel, and Jo agrees. As they head to the hotel, Hae-ri and Hwa-suk discreetly follow them. During the pursuit, Hwa-suk jokes with Hae-ri, suggesting that maybe Dal-geon is more interested in men than women, but Hae-ri disagrees. Jo instructs Dal-geon to wait outside while he meets with the informant in the hotel room, but before going in, he shares the room number with Dal-geon. After waiting for a long time without any sign of Jo, Dal-geon decides to check on him. When he enters the room, he's shocked and distressed to find that Jo has been brutally attacked. Just before dying, Jo hands Dal-geon a pen. Dal-geon quickly calls the police to report the incident. But suddenly, the assassin who killed Jo attacks Dal-geon as well. Dal-geon manages to defend himself, and the assassin flees. Dal-geon chases the attacker, who tries to escape on a motorcycle. Spotting Hae-ri's car nearby, Dal-geon urges her to follow the fleeing assassin. But despite their efforts, the assassin manages to get away. By the time the police arrive at the hotel, all evidence of the murder has been meticulously erased. The police warn Dal-geon to stay out of trouble and then leave the scene. Dal-geon is left in disbelief, struggling to comprehend how such a clean cover-up could have been executed so quickly. He hands the pen that Jo gave him to Hae-ri, who discovers that it contains a hidden flash drive. When she connects it to her laptop, they uncover startling revelations. The drive holds details about B-37's pilot, Kim Woo-gi, and his offshore accounts, as well as information about a life insurance policy worth 5 billion won that would go to his wife, Oh Sang-mi, in the event of the plane's crash. Harry quickly informs Dal-geon about the shocking discoveries. At that moment, Dal-geon is attending a gathering of the bereaved families, where they are in the process of appointing Oh Sang-mi as their representative. Just as this is happening, Dal-geon bursts into the meeting and confronts Sang-mi, accusing her of fraud. He reveals to everyone that her husband, Kim Woo-gi, is actually alive, and that she has been pretending to mourn while planning to collect a 5 billion won insurance payout. The attendees are stunned by these revelations, but Sang-mi denies the accusations, insisting that her husband is dead. Park Kwang, who is known for his short temper, grows frustrated with Dal-geon's persistent accusations and tells him to drop the matter and let them grieve in peace. However, Dal-geon refuses to back down, questioning how long they plan to ignore the truth. In a fit of anger, Kwang uses a judo move to knock Dal-geon unconscious. Realizing his mistake immediately, Kwang feels guilty and carries Dal-geon on his back to take him to the hospital. At this point, Edward Park arrives and decides to take Dal-geon back to his office instead. Edward offers Dal-geon a safe place to stay in his building, suggesting that he remain there for a while. Dal-geon agrees, deciding to lay low for the time being. Meanwhile, Lily, the assassin hired to kill Dal-geon, is carefully monitoring him from a building opposite Edward Park's. She is meticulously planning her next move. The next day, Kwang calls Dal-geon to apologize for his actions the previous day. Dal-geon forgives him, and Kwang suggests they meet at a restaurant. Initially hesitant, Dal-geon eventually agrees. As Kwang arrives to pick Dal-geon up, Lily, who has been observing them, orders her partner to hack into Kwang's car, disabling the brakes. The car begins to speed uncontrollably and eventually crashes. Despite the severity of the situation, Dal-geon manages to save both himself and Kwang. Lily, realizing her plan has failed, retreats. Shaken by the experience, Kwang admits to Dal-geon that he now believes him and acknowledges that someone is indeed trying to silence them. After their near-death experience, Dal-geon and Kwang attend a nearby event where Jessica is showcasing her philanthropy by raising funds for cancer patients. At the event, Dal-geon finally confronts Jessica face-to-face. He takes her aside and warns her that he will bring her and her company, John and Mark, to justice. Jessica tries to bribe Dal-geon, but he refuses, asking her if she can bring his nephew Hoon back. Dal-geon then addresses the reporters at the event, boldly declaring that the mastermind behind the plane crash is the John and Mark company. His statement creates a media frenzy, and when Jessica arrives, the reporters bombard her with questions, asking if Dal-geon's claims are true. Jessica dismisses the allegations, insisting that they are completely false and unsupported by any evidence. Meanwhile, Go Hae-ri's division chief, Min Jae-sik, reprimands her for providing Dal-geon with so much information. Go Hae-ri defends her actions, arguing that it is their duty to apprehend the criminals responsible for the plane crash. Min, however, orders Go Hae-ri to close the case immediately, threatening to transfer her to a remote location if she disobeys. On another front, Kang is closely examining photos from Michael's self-harm act. He notices that the picture shows Michael using his right hand to commit the unthinkable, even though Michael was left-handed. This observation confirms Kang's suspicion that Michael was murdered and that his death was staged. Later that night, Go Hae-ri sneaks into the NIS office, hoping to retrieve the flash drive that was taken from Hwasuk, which contains the video of Hoon. After an exhaustive search, she discovers that the file has been deleted from the system. She informs Dal-geon, who is furious upon hearing the news. The next day, President Yoon Kuk-pyo invites the bereaved families of the plane crash victims to the Blue House. Go Hae-ri sees this on the news and immediately calls Dal-geon to inform him. Dal-geon is surprised as no one had informed him about the event. As he prepares to leave, Lily rings his doorbell. Believing it's a delivery, Dal-geon opens the door, but Lily sprays him with a sedative, knocking him unconscious, and takes him away in a fake ambulance. Inside the ambulance, Lily's partner is about to inject Dal-geon with a lethal dose of potassium cyanide when Go Hae-ri arrives just in time to save him. Dal-geon regains consciousness, fights back, and overturns the ambulance. Go Hae-ri quickly puts Dal-geon in her car and speeds towards the Blue House. On the way, she shares a voice recording with Dal-geon. It's a conversation she secretly recorded between Ki Tai-woong, her division's captain, and her. In the recording, Tai-woong reveals that someone within the higher ranks of the NIS deleted Hoon's video. Go Hae-ri urges Dal-geon to play the recording at the Blue House to expose the truth. Dal-geon, worried about Hae-ri's job, tells her that playing the recording might get her fired. Hae-ri responds that she values honesty more than her job. Determined to expose the truth, they arrive at the Blue House, but the guards refuse to let Dal-geon in, stating that his name isn't on the guest list. Frustrated, Dal-geon realizes that someone is deliberately keeping him out. Undeterred, he manages to sneak into the Blue House by blending in with a regular family and entering through the back. Once inside, Dal-geon uses the excuse of going to the bathroom to slip away and head toward the conference room, where the president is meeting with the bereaved families. As he makes his way there, the guards try to stop him, but Dal-geon uses his ninja skills to fend them off. Eventually, he's overwhelmed by the large number of guards and is captured. The all-fuss draws the attention of Prime Minister Hong Soon, who arrives at the scene. Dal-geon explains that he's there to reveal the truth, and Hong grants him access to the conference hall. Inside the conference room, Dal-geon plays the voice recording in front of President Young-kuk-pyo and the other higher officials. The revelation leaves everyone stunned. The president angrily glares at NIST Director An Ki-dong, questioning how such vital information was kept from him. Dal-geon then further reveals that the plane's pilot, Kim Woo-gi, is alive, and that the insurance money was set to go to his wife, Sang-mi. The news causes an uproar in the hall. Sang-mi, overwhelmed by the exposure, pretends to have a heart attack and faints, leading to her being taken to the hospital. Later, Senior Secretary Yoon Han-ki takes Dal-geon to the NIS headquarters, assuring him that he is safe there and that they will handle the investigation from now on. However, Jessica isn't ready to back down. In response to Lily's failure, she hires an even more dangerous assassination organization to eliminate Dal-geon. One of the assassins enters the NS headquarters disguised as a delivery person. He brings food laced with a sedative, causing all the agents who consume it to fall unconscious. Hae-ri, not particularly hungry, only eats a small amount but still passes out. The assassin then silently enters Dal-geon's room with a gun, expecting to find him vulnerable, but is surprised to discover that Dal-geon isn't there. Suddenly, Dal-geon ambushes the assassin, leading to a fierce and intense fight between the two. Both men land heavy blows on each other, but in the end, the assassin gains the upper hand and is about to shoot Dal-geon when Hae-ri, who has regained consciousness, arrives just in time. She shoots the attacker, killing him and saving Dal-geon's life. After defeating the assassin, Dal-geon and Hae-ri check the killer's phone and are shocked when Min Jae-sik answers the recent call. He asks if Dal-geon has been killed. Realizing that Min is behind the assassination attempt and is a mole within the NIS, they are stunned. Hae-ri quickly informs Kang about the situation and secretly deletes all CCTV footage of the incident, making it appear that Dal-geon has been killed. Meanwhile, Min visits Sang-mi in the hospital, coaching her on what to say during the investigation to avoid arrest. When Kang begins questioning Sang-mi, she repeats the answers Min provided, successfully evading suspicion. However, Kang secretly instructs Hwa-suk to plant a tracker in Sang-mi's phone. After Sang-mi is released, Captain Tae-woong and his team secretly follow her as she visits a local church. There, she retrieves an old phone hidden behind a wall picture and contacts her husband, Kim Woo-gi, who is in an old worn house in Morocco. Sang-mi reassures Kim that their plan will soon succeed, which lifts his spirits. However, Tae-woong and his team soon catch up with her and arrest her, recording everything she said. Just as they are about to take her back for further questioning, a truck suddenly crashes into their vehicle, leaving them injured. The attackers are members of the secret organization hired by Min and Jessica, who kidnapped Sang-mi. Kang arrives at the scene and sends Tae-woong and his team to the hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, Kim Do-soo, the brother of the assassin who attacked Dal-geon, calls his brother, only for Dal-geon to answer. Dal-geon taunts him, saying he has sent his brother to hell, enraging Kim Do-soo, who vows revenge. Hae-ri receives orders from Kang to arrest Min Jae-sik. She tracks him down to a local bar where he is drinking with Director An. When Hae-ri attempts to arrest Min, he manages to escape. Later, Jessica, seeing an opportunity, offers Min protection and invites him to join her. The next day, bereaved families plead with the media for justice, with Edward Park also present. He instructs his assistant, Mickey, to send the photos of Jessica's secret meetings with government officials to the NIS. Meanwhile, as Dal-geon is riding in a car with Kwang, he suddenly spots Joe, the reporter who was supposedly killed earlier. Stunned and confused, Dal-geon chases after him, but is distracted by Edward Park. On the other side, Kim Do-soo tortures Sang-mi, demanding her husband's location, but she refuses to give in. Jessica then arrives and makes Sang-mi an offer that if she reveals her husband's location and holds a press conference blaming the plane crash on her husband and dynamic company, she will be spared. Sang-mi, realizing she has no other option, reluctantly agrees to Jessica's demands. On the other hand, Hae-ri receives the photos that Edward Park sent, and she hands them over to Kang, saying they came from an unknown source. Kang then approaches director An, stating that if they want to uncover the truth behind the plane crash, he should be put in charge of the operation. Director An agrees and gives Kang full authority over the operation. Kang tracks down the location of Sang-mi's husband, Kim Woo-gi, through a call she made from her phone. It turns out he's hiding in a poor neighborhood in Morocco, but they can't pinpoint his exact location. The NIS team, led by Tae-woong, immediately flies to Morocco, with Dal-geon secretly sneaking onto the plane. Hae-ri is surprised to see him but agrees not to tell anyone. Dal-geon tells her he doesn't trust the NIS, so he wants to help find Kim Woo-gi himself. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-gi breaks his phone, making it even harder to track his location. Tae-woong's team uses drones to search for him, but after several days, they still can't find him. Jessica bribes Moroccan police officers, instructing them to find Kim Woo-gi before the NIS does. Meanwhile, Kang executes a search warrant at Jessica's house. Dal-geon, using his ninja skills, also searches for Kim Woo-gi while hiding his identity. The NIS team becomes suspicious of Dal-geon and starts following him. Eventually, Dal-geon spots plastic bottles on a rooftop, a sign that the residents are Koreans who can't drink the local Moroccan water. He quickly identifies Kim Woo-gi's house and sneaks inside, finally confronting him and beating him up. Just then, the police arrive, having tracked down Kim Woo-gi's location. They arrest both Dal-geon and Kim Woo-gi. The NIS agents also arrive at the scene, but fail to convince the police to hand over Kim Woo-gi, who is taken to the police station and imprisoned alongside Dal-geon. Meanwhile, Kang interrogates Jessica, presenting all the evidence against her, but she denies everything. After several hours, Director An orders Jessica's release. Jessica warns Kang that she will get revenge and that he'll soon find himself in a similar situation. Later, Tae-woong informs the NIS headquarters that they've found Kim Woo-gi and will soon begin questioning him. Jessica is distressed when she hears the news. Tae-woong then manages to secure the release of Dal-geon and Kim Woo-gi from the police station, taking Kim Woo-gi to the Korean embassy. Hong Sung and Min plot to kill Kim Woo-gi, with Min feeling quite confident about the plan. That night, Secretary Yoon Han-ki invites Director An to his home and begins blackmailing him. Min also shows up, and Yoon presents evidence of An's corruption, threatening to expose it to the media unless An agrees to replace the NIS team in Morocco that found Kim Woo-gi. Furious, Director An leaves. Min then hires Lily and Kim Do-soo to assassinate Kim Woo-gi, and they head to Morocco to carry out the plan. At the embassy, Tae-woong and his team begin interrogating Kim Woo-gi, but he refuses to cooperate, giving no clear answers. Dal-geon loses his temper and starts beating him. Kim Woo-gi falls off his chair and begins writhing in pain. They notice that he's actually a drug addict, and he starts begging for drugs. Tae-woong tries to give him a painkiller, but Dal-geon stops him, insisting that this is their chance to make him confess the truth. This leads to a fight between Dal-geon and Tae-woong. However, Hae-ri picks up the injection and tells Kim Woo-gi that if he doesn't tell the truth, he won't get the injection. On the verge of death, Kim Woo-gi finally admits that John and Mark's vice president, Michael, paid him $5 million to crash the plane. Hae-ri immediately gives him the injection, saving his life. Afterward, Tae-woong's team prepares to take Kim Woo-gi to the airport to fly him back to Korea. However, the Moroccan police direct them to take a different route, leading them into a trap. Assassins open fire on their cars, killing several NIS agents. Dal-geon and Hae-ri are following behind when they hear gunfire. Dal-geon speeds up towards Tae-woong's team. Meanwhile, Tae-woong and his team bravely fight off the assassins, but Kim Woo-gi is shot in the leg, leaving him injured. Dal-geon and Hae-ri arrive just in time to help, and they all rush back to the embassy. Tae-woong informs Kang about the attack and Kim Woo-gi's critical condition. Kang is deeply worried. Meanwhile, Min sends his men to the embassy to finish off Dal-geon and Kim Woo-gi. Min then taunts Kang, saying he ruined his plan. Kang, furious, attacks Min, but Director An arrives and orders Kang's arrest. Kang is devastated and asks Director An if he has also joined the ranks of the corrupt. Jessica, now freed from NIS headquarters, sees Kang in handcuffs and smiles at him. Back at the embassy, Tae-woong and the others bring Kim Woo-gi inside. Tae-woong calls a doctor for instructions on performing surgery. With the doctor's guidance over a video call, They manage to remove the bullet from Kim Woo-gi's leg, but he's lost a lot of blood. Hae-ri recalls from the files that Kim Woo-gi's blood type is O. Fortunately, Dal-geon also has type O blood and donates some to save Kim Woo-gi's life. When Jessica learns that the plan to kill Kim Woo-gi has failed, she becomes anxious. However, Min remains confident, revealing that he has sent a NIS Black Ops team to the embassy to eliminate everyone. Meanwhile, Sang-mi visits the media headquarters to request permission to hold a press conference. As Kang is being taken away after his arrest, he manages to knock out the guards, steals one of their phones, and calls the media division of President Kuk-pyo. He tells the reporter that there are many traitors within NIS who are trying to cover up the plane crash, and that Secretary Yoon is also involved. The reporter immediately writes that down and handovers the note to the president's assistant. Suddenly, Yoon arrives and forbids her from showing it to the president. At that moment, Prime Minister Hong shows up, takes the note, and tears it up on the spot. Meanwhile, the press conference has already started, and Sang-mi places all the blame for the plane crash on her husband and dynamic company. This shocks Edward Park and causes an uproar in the media. On another front, Hwa Suk, trying to help Kang, dials a secret number. The number belongs to a local chicken restaurant owned by the widow of the former NIS chief. However, Min and his men are monitoring Hwa Suk's calls, but she cleverly uses a code word, Vagabond, which Min's men fail to recognize. Later, the assassins sent by Min arrive at the Korean embassy, pretending to be NES agents sent to help. Suddenly, the chicken restaurant owner calls Tae-woong, warning him that these agents are actually assassins. Tae-woong is shocked. Director Ahn also calls Tae-woong, revealing that Dal-geon and Kim Woo-gi will be killed tonight, and that if Tae-woong resists, he will be killed as well. Tae-woong is stunned to realize that even the NIS director is part of the conspiracy. The Black Ops agents then attack Dal-geon, but he fights back fiercely, capturing their commander and holding a gun to his head. Hae-ri also takes Kim Woo-gi with her. The Black Ops agents have their guns aimed at Dal-geon and Hae-ri, but at that moment, Tae-woong cuts off the power, allowing Dal-geon and Hae-ri to escape. As they flee, Tae-woong, appearing to aim his gun at them, actually shoots at the Black Ops agents behind them. He urges them to take Kim Woo-gi to a safe zone. They barely make it to the safe zone, but the Black Ops team doesn't give up and blasts their way inside with a bomb. A fierce gunfight ensues until Dal-geon and the others run out of bullets. They still have an underground secret bomb, but it needs more time to activate. The Black Ops commander, seeing they're out of bullets, smugly approaches, whistling, but Dal-geon stops him, warning that there's a time bomb under the room and only he can deactivate it. The commander hesitates but then orders his unit to open fire. Just then, the bomb explodes. Dal-geon narrowly escapes using his ninja skills, while all the Black Ops soldiers are killed. Tae-woong then tells Hae-ri and Dal-geon to take Kim Woo-gi and leave, saying he'll handle the traitors at headquarters. Before they part ways, he gives Hae-ri a code word and tells her to call a specific number for help. Tae-woong calls headquarters and informs them that Hae-ri and Dal-geon have escaped with Kim Woo-gi and that the soldiers they sent have been killed. Min and Director Ahn become shocked that their plan failed and immediately instruct him to return to Korea. Meanwhile, Dal-geon, Hae-ri, and Kim Woo-gi manage to escape the embassy through an underground tunnel and meet Mickey, Edward Park's assistant, who takes them to a safe zone. Elsewhere, Min gives an agent a bottle of poison, instructing him to mix it into Kang's food. When Kang eats, he collapses and is rushed to the hospital, where he unfortunately dies. This news spreads like fire across all the NIS divisions, and everyone become emotional. Back with Mickey, as she is taking Dal-geon and the others, the police stop them. Mickey shows them a symbol on her arm, which convinces the police to let them go. In a separate incident, the head of the Moroccan police is shot and killed for failing to do his job. Now Dal-geon and Hae-ri are on a container ship at sea with Kim Woo-gi. Hae-ri calls the number Tae-woong told her and uses the code word Vagabond, which is recognized by the restaurant owner, who then puts the call on hold. To Hae-ri's surprise, Kang answers the phone. She is shocked that he is alive and asks how this is possible. Kang explains that the restaurant owner had warned him about the poison and had prepared an antidote. When everyone thought he was dead, a nurse administered the antidote, saving him. Kang tells Hae-ri to be cautious and to keep their location hidden from NIS. Kaya Jong-soo, the restaurant owner's son and an expert hacker, helps Hae-ri and Dal-geon by masking their location. He spreads false information globally, confusing NIS headquarters. Some believe they are in China, Others think they are in India. No one can pinpoint their exact location. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-gi manages to free himself from his restraints. He grabs Hae-ri and demands a boat from Dal-geon, threatening to kill her if his demands aren't met. Hae-ri uses the ninja skills Dal-geon taught her to defeat him. In the National Assembly, a bill for an extra $1 trillion passes, and the FX deal is given to John and Mark. Blue House officials celebrate the victory. Yoon Han-ki invites Jessica to a restaurant, congratulates her, and instructs her to transfer a $500 million commission to the president's offshore account, Deep Blue. Dal-geon asks Kim Woo-gi if he has any evidence against Michael in the plane crash. Kim Woo-gi reveals that Michael had a girlfriend who was the mastermind behind the plot, and she was the one who introduced him to Michael. Hae-ri and Dal-geon then devise a plan to trap the headquarters staff. Hae-ri calls headquarters, claiming she is surrendering, and tells them that Dal-geon is taking Kim Woo-gi to India. Min believes her and begins preparations to go to India. However, he notices that the time on Hae-ri's watch matches South Korea's time zone, not India's. Realizing the deception, Min sends his men to South Korea's port. Hae-ri uses the code word to inform Kang and Tae-woong of the container number and arrival time. Tae-woong arrives at the port with Kim Si-hoon, and just as they are about to leave with the container truck, Min's men open a massive fire. Inside the container, Hae-ri spots a car and suggests someone should go get it. Tae-woong offers to do it, but Dal-geon insists he's faster and takes on the task. Suddenly, a sniper from a distance starts aiming at Min's men and kills many of them. The sniper is none other than Kang, who is targeting Min's forces from a rooftop. Dal-geon seizes the opportunity to get into the car, quickly gathers Hae-ri and the others, and drives them to safety. Meanwhile, Jessica is dining with President Kook-pyo and impresses him with her attire. She mistakenly mentions an oil drilling project in Korea, which surprises the president, who wonders how she knows about it. Jessica tries to brush it off, claiming she heard it from a Saudi prince. After dinner, while Yoon Han-ki questions Jessica about the Korea project, he gets an urgent call from Min. Min tells him that Dal-geon and his team have escaped and are on their way to court with Kim Woo-gi. If they're not stopped, everything will be ruined. Yoon Han-ki, shocked by this revelation, goes straight to President Kook-pyo to disclose the entire situation. What's surprising is that President Kook-pyo is completely unaware of the situation. He is shocked and furious, especially since Yoon Han has been concealing the truth about the plane crash from him. Kook-pyo calls Yoon Han a traitor, but Yoon Han argues that if the president doesn't act, the public will discover the $500 million commission sent to his offshore account. Kook-pyo then immediately contacts the police commissioner and activates all city police forces to track down Dal-geon. The city is put on high alert with numerous roadblocks. Meanwhile, in court, the hearing is in progress with Sang-mi giving her testimony. When the judge asks Edward Park for his witness, he claims Kim Woo-gi will soon arrive to reveal everything. The police pursue Dal-geon's car, and Kai Jang-soo hacks into city CCTV cameras to broadcast live footage on social media. This raises public concern about why the police are blocking access to the court. In the High Court, the hearing is set to resume, but Kim Woo-gi has yet to arrive. Edward Park requests a brief extension from Judge An Sung, who agrees to grant an additional 30 minutes. However, Yoon Han-ki tries to influence the Chief Justice to end the session immediately by bribing him. The Chief Justice sends a message to Judge An Sung to terminate the session, but Judge An Sung, being honest, ignores the message and decides to give Edward Park the extra time requested. Suddenly, Dal-geon's car reaches a dead end, and the police surround them from all sides. Min orders his men to open fire, but just then, a helicopter appears overhead. It's a local news helicopter there for live coverage. Because of the live broadcast, the police can't fire on them. Meanwhile, Yoon Han calls the news channel owner and threatens to expose his corruption records to the public if he doesn't move the reporters away. The channel owner, fearing the threat, tells the reporters to move the helicopter away. The reporters are then forced to leave, giving Min's team the chance to open fire on Dal-geon and the others. They surrender. But despite this, Min orders the police to fire. Suddenly, a man starts a fire, prompting all the police officers to join in. Dal-geon and the others hide behind the car, which is about to explode, when a truck arrives to provide them with cover. The truck driver tells them to leave quickly. They get back in the car and head towards the court, but the car breaks down shortly after. They have to continue on foot to reach the court. Outside the court, a heavy police presence is blocking them. However, the bereaved family members, realizing something is wrong, attack the police to clear the way for Dal-geon and Hae-ri. Tae-woong and Se-hoon also fight to distract the police. Seeing this, Dal-geon is both amazed and relieved that people are risking their lives to help him. But his troubles aren't over yet. On the court's rooftop, Lily is waiting with a sniper rifle. As Dal-geon and Hae-ri are bringing Kim Woo-gi into the court, Lily fires but misses Kim Woo-gi, hitting Hae-ri instead. Others come to defend them. Lily struggles to aim, allowing Dal-geon and Hae-ri to successfully get Kim Woo-gi into the courtroom. Lily, defeated, tells her partner to go back. Just then, a shot is fired, killing Lily's partner. Lily hides and calls Jessica, saying she's been attacked by an unknown sniper. The hearing resumes, and questioning of Kim Woo-gi begins. He reveals that John and Mark Asia Company's vice president, Michael, paid him $5 million for the plane crash. When asked for evidence, he says he secretly recorded a video while receiving the money from Michael, and that the video is stored privately on his website. He provides the website name and password. When the website is accessed, the video is found and played, showing Michael giving money to Kim Woo-gi. The video also reveals the terrorist Jerome, who destroyed the airplane engine. This sensational news shocks everyone in the courtroom. The court hearing concludes, and Judge An Sung delivers the verdict. He announces that Dynamic will be fined 10 billion won for failing to ensure the safety of the plane. Edward accepts the fault and agrees to the compensation. The judge also declares John and Mark as criminals involved in the incident and summons their officials. This news brings joy to everyone. After the verdict, Min tries to escape with his men. He calls Yoon Han for help, but Yoon Han refuses, saying everything is over and Min has failed his mission. Kang then captures and beats Min to a pulp. Meanwhile, Hae-ri's condition worsens. She notices blood on her hand. Everyone is shocked. Hae-ri had forgotten her injury, which she sustained when Kim Woo-gi was being taken to court. Dal-geon quickly places her on his back and calls for an ambulance. Outside the court, reporters bombard Dal-geon with questions, but he tells them to leave, expressing his frustration that they didn't show up in the time of need. He puts Hae-ri into the ambulance and leaves a message for the president, stating that while he doesn't know if the president is involved in the crime, remaining silent about it is also a crime. Kuk-pyo is stunned and distressed by this message. That night, he reflects deeply, and the next day at a press conference, he places all blame for the crime on NIS Director An and Senior Secretary Yoon Han. Director An is arrested, and Yoon Han commits the unthinkable in his car. Jessica is furious upon learning that the court has ruled against her company. She tells Hong Sung that it's impossible for her company to face a case since she had given the president a $500 million commission. Hong Sung, however, secretly records this conversation. Later at a press conference, Jessica expresses regret over the plane crash and promises compensation to the bereaved families. However, the families show her posters of their loved ones, insisting they want their loved ones back, not money. Suddenly, photos and videos of Jessica in a romantic relationship with Minister of Defense Park Man-young go viral on social media. It becomes clear that she used him to secure the FX deal. Jessica feels extremely embarrassed, and during the live press conference, the police arrest her. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-gi and Sang-mi are being taken to jail. Kim Woo-gi tosses a paper to Sang-mi, who reads it and becomes very happy. The paper contains a secret that neither of them had revealed in court. This secret helps Sang-mi secure her release from jail in a short time. Jessica is eventually transferred to jail. She calls Lily and asks her to send a message to John and Mark's headquarters in America. Lily is initially unwilling to help because Jessica's accounts have been banned. However, Jessica provides Lily with the details of an offshore account, and Lily agrees to assist her. On the other side, Hae-ri receives a warm welcome at the NIS headquarters for solving the case. Everyone applauds her, but she feels more somber and goes to pray for the agents who died during the mission. Then Dal-geon receives an unknown message on his phone. When he looks, he finds Lily sitting in a car. She tells him that if he wants to know the real mastermind behind the plane crash, he should talk to Jessica in jail. Dal-geon is surprised by this information. Dal-geon and Hae-ri visit Jessica in jail. Jessica claims she wasn't involved in Michael's murder. She explains that although Michael was behind the plane crash plan, she only found out about it after the crash happened. Jessica had warned Michael that they were heading into serious trouble. She insists that the plane crash was not her plan and that she was only focused on the FX project. Jessica suspects there might be an even bigger mastermind who funded Michael's plans. She also mentions that Michael's girlfriend was very close to him before the crash. Jessica concludes that what they believe to be the truth might not be the whole truth, and the real mastermind could be someone else. This leaves Dal-geon and Hae-ri puzzled. Meanwhile, Sang-mi is hiding and frequently checking her account balance. which still hasn't received any money. She calls an unknown number and threatens to reveal everything if 20 billion won isn't deposited into her account within 3 days. Kim Woo-gi is arrested and placed in a mental hospital because of his drug addiction. Hae-ri and Dal-geon visit the hospital to question him. To their surprise, Jerome, the terrorist responsible for the plane crash, is in charge of security at the hospital. Jerome warns Kim Woo-gi that if he reveals anything to Dal-geon and Hae-ri, he will be killed. Later, Hae-ri and Dal-geon visit Kim Woo-gi in his cell. Kim Woo-gi is terrified and unresponsive. He pleads for help in a trembling voice. Just then, a security guard arrives to take Kim Woo-gi away. As he leaves, Kim Woo-gi shouts that Jerome is in the hospital and will kill him. Hae-ri and Dal-geon suspect that his fear might be a delusion due to his mental state. In an unexpected twist, it is revealed that Yoon Han, after his self-harm attempt, was rescued and is now alive in a hospital, connected to an oxygen tube. The rescuer turns out to be Prime Minister Hong. Hong says he saved Yoon Han because he still needs him to access files that could expose the president. Yoon Han is amazed that Hong has been using him and the president for so long. Yoon Han provides the password for the files and tells Hong he's the worst devil he's ever seen. Hong replies that he is just a patriot. Hong then calls Dal-geon and the bereaved families to the Blue House. At a press conference, he plays a voice recording of Jessica revealing a $500 million transaction to the president's offshore account, Deep Blue. The media is shocked and the news spreads quickly. President Kuk-pyo is furious and sees Hong as a traitor. Hong apologizes to the bereaved families and expresses regret for not helping them sooner. Kuk-pyo later visits Yoon Han at the hospital. Although Yoon Han is actually awake, he pretends to be unconscious. Kuk-pyo, emotionally holding his hand, says he wishes Yoon Han hadn't associated with such bad people. After Kuk-pyo departs, Yoon Han becomes emotional and starts to cry. Meanwhile, Hae-ri's leg is still injured and she's having trouble walking. Seeing this, Dal-geon carries her on his back and takes her home. Their bond seems to grow stronger. The next day, President Kuk-pyo and Prime Minister Hong angrily face each other in the presidential office. They decide that the parliament votes will determine who should resign from their position. That night, Hong invites the bereaved families of the plane crash to a hotel. He tells them they'll soon see Kuk-pyo in jail, claiming it's revenge for their losses. Dal-geon protests, accusing Hong of using the situation for his own political agenda to become acting president. Hong falls silent, and the families look at him suspiciously. Meanwhile, assassins are after Sang-mi. She narrowly escapes and calls Dal-geon, asking for help. She reveals she knows a secret because of which the mastermind behind the plane crash wants her dead. Dal-geon is shocked and rushes to her location. He arrives and alerts the police. As he enters, he spots Jerome, who immediately opens fire. Dal-geon uses his ninja skills to dodge the bullets, leading to a fierce fight. During the chaos, another assassin fatally stabs Sang-mi in the neck. When the police arrive, Jerome and the other assassins flee. Dal-geon rushes to Sang-mi, who is dying. Before she dies, she draws a symbol with her blood on the floor and tells Dal-geon that Samael is the mastermind behind everything. The police arrive and, mistakenly thinking Dal-geon is the killer, arrest him. Later, Hae-ri goes to the police station to get Dal-geon released. She says that NIS wants to question him. Based on Sang-mi's information, NES begins an investigation. They try to find someone named Samael, but come up empty. While showering, Dal-geon tries to complete the symbol Sang-mi drew. He recalls seeing the same symbol on Jerome's chest. Excited, he rushes out of the bathroom, but forgets to put on his clothes, causing an embarrassing situation with Hae-ri. Dal-geon later shares the symbol with the headquarters. Kang conducts research and discovers that it belongs to a terrorist organization in East Asia, but they have no information about the leader. Meanwhile, Jerome is torturing Kim Woo-gi in a deserted factory. Dal-geon and Hae-ri visit Jessica again, asking if she knows anyone named Samael. Jessica says she's heard of the name, but doesn't know who Samael is. She asks for their phones and sends a message to Lily to find out more about Samael. Later, Dal-geon tells Hae-ri he wants to meet with President Kuk-pyo. Hae-ri arranges an appointment through the president's assistant, but Kuk-pyo refuses to meet. As Kuk-pyo leaves the Blue House, Dal-geon intercepts him, insisting they need to talk urgently. They go to a secluded area, where Dal-geon tells Kuk-pyo that he might be being framed and that the real culprit could be someone else. This revelation surprises Kuk-pyo. Yoon Han, still with an IV drip, goes to the NIS office to complete the investigation process. He immediately writes down the ID and password for the offshore account and gives them to Tai Wung. showing that he's tired of the situation and wants to see the case resolved. In the meantime, the parliamentary voting concludes and President Kuk-pyo is dismissed from office. NIS Director An and Defense Minister Park Man-young are also legally arrested. Yoon-han watches all this on TV from his hospital bed. Protests erupt across South Korea with lanterns being lit. Unable to handle the situation, Kuk-pyo starts taking poison in his car, but then remembers Dal-geon's words and throws the poison away. Kuk-pyo calls Dal-geon and invites him to a private meeting. When Dal-geon arrives, Kuk-pyo apologizes, saying he regrets not listening to Dal-geon sooner, which might have exposed the truth earlier. Dal-geon is frustrated, feeling that earlier action could have made a difference. Kuk-pyo offers to help with the investigation and tells Dal-geon to reach out anytime. As Dal-geon is heading back, he receives a call from Edward Park, asking him to come to his office. Upon arriving, he is greeted by Mickey, which triggers a realization in Dal-geon. He remembers that Kim Woo-gi and Jessica mentioned Michael's girlfriend was Asian, and Mickey is also Asian. When Mickey serves tea, Dal-geon notices a symbol on her arm that matches the terrorist organization symbol. This revelation exposes Edward Park as the true mastermind behind the plane crash, and Mickey was the one who was behind Michael and killed him in the end. Dal-geon confronts Edward, asking if he is Samael. Edward confirms that he is indeed the one and only Samael. Enraged, Dal-geon demands to know why Edward committed all these crimes. He becomes emotional, questioning how anyone could be so ruthless as to kill hundreds of people. Edward responds that he did it for Korea's greater good, asserting that nothing significant is achieved without sacrifice. He suggests Dal-geon should be proud to have contributed to a larger cause. Edward pulls out a gun, but Dal-geon manages to grab it and shoots Edward in the arm. At that moment, Mickey arrives with reinforcements. Dal-geon holds a gun to Edward's head, threatening to kill him if anyone makes any further moves. The situation takes a dramatic turn when Edward shows a live broadcast revealing that if he is not freed, he will kill Go Hae-ri and the bereaved families. Faced with this threat, Dal-geon has no choice but to surrender. Edward then knocks Dal-geon unconscious and imprisons him in the same abandoned factory where Kim Woo-gi is being held. Edward orders his men to spread gasoline in the factory and sets it ablaze before escaping. The next day, Go Hae-ri searches for Dal-geon, eventually reaching his home, but he is nowhere to be found. She receives a call from headquarters and goes there, where Tae-woong informs her of a fire at an abandoned factory, supposedly killing Dal-geon and Kim Woo-gi. Go Hae-ri, devastated, can't believe the news. She sees the bullet necklace she had given Dal-geon, leading her to mourn deeply. However, the truth is that Dal-geon survived the fire, thanks to Lily and Kim Do-soo. Lily noticed Dal-geon inside the factory and broke through the gate to rescue him. While she managed to save Dal-geon, she couldn't save Kim Woo-gi. Edward Park summons Prime Minister Hong, who has become the acting president. Hong is informed by Mickey that Edward Park is Samael. Shocked and distressed, Hong bows respectfully before Edward. Edward demands that Hong only appoints secretaries and ministers of his choosing. Hong doubts his popularity and whether he can become president-elect, feeling he might not have enough public support. Edward Park reassures him that successfully completing the oil drilling project in Korea will boost his public support significantly. However, Edward warns that if Hong fails to deliver, he will be replaced by someone else as president. Harry, with tears in her eyes, tells Kang and Tae-woong that she will take revenge on Dal-geon's behalf no matter what. Dal-geon, now safe, asks Lily and Kim Do-soo to keep his survival a secret. He does not want anyone to get hurt in his pursuit of revenge, especially Go Hae-ri. He also asks how much they would require to help him, but Lily and Do-soo laugh it off, saying he doesn't have the means to afford their help. Dal-geon then calls Kuk-pyo and requests money. Dal-geon visits Kuk-pyo at his private residence. Kuk-pyo is astonished to see him alive, given the news of his death. Dal-geon explains that he vowed to stay alive until he had brought justice to the wrongdoers. Kuk-pyo provides him with the address of an offshore account and tells him to take as much money as he needs from there. Later, Jessica calls Lily, asking if she has completed her task. Lily informs Jessica that Samael is actually Edward Park, leaving Jessica stunned. Lily then tells Jessica that a wealthy client has bought her services and she will now be working for someone else. Jessica pleads for Lily to do one last favor for her, to speak with the head office in America on her behalf. Lily agrees to this. Jessica is being escorted back to her cell when she spots Jerome and becomes frightened. That night, Go Hae-ri shares her plan with Tae-woong and Kang. She intends to become a prisoner to get access to Jessica and obtain information about Samael, as Jerome will not allow her to meet Jessica otherwise. The next day, Hae-ri fabricates a money laundering case against herself and is sent to jail. There, she pretends to have a confrontation with Jessica, during which Jessica reveals that Samael is actually Edward Park. Hae-ri is shocked by this revelation. In jail, all control is in Edward Park's hands as he manages everything from the inside. To win Edward's trust, Hae-ri and Jessica often fight, with Hae-ri loudly accusing Jessica of being Dal-geon's killer. This makes Edward Park suspicious. The next day, he visits Hae-ri to ask why she's at the jail. Hae-ri, hiding her anger, tells him she's there to seek revenge on Jessica. She claims that the information Sang-mi gave to the NES was false. She also says that Jessica's crimes were discovered by Dal-geon, which led to him being killed. Edward tells her that staying in jail won't allow her to prove Jessica's crimes, so he offers to help her get bail. Meanwhile, Jessica also tries to gain Edward's trust. She tells him she has no personal grudge against him, only against the people at John and Mark's headquarters who abandoned her during a difficult time. She says that if given the chance to go to America, she would take revenge on them all. Edward asks if she's asking for his help, to which Jessica, crying, replies that she'd rather die than accept help from someone like him. Eventually, Hae-ri and Jessica's plan succeeds, and Edward Park, believing their story, releases them from jail. Jessica and Hae-ri leave together in the same car. Jessica tells Hae-ri that she's heading to the Kingdom of Korea to secure deals that will strengthen her position in the company. She mentions that Hae-ri could also take revenge on Edward Park there. Hearing this, Hae-ri agrees to go with Jessica to Korea. Meanwhile, Dal-geon, now working with Lily, has joined a U.S. Army Black Ops unit. They carry out an attack on a weapons facility. After the successful operation, Dal-geon notices that the team captain is stealing a biohazardous tube from the site. When Dal-geon asks about the tube, the captain insists they should focus on the mission, not questions. Lily advises Dal-geon to avoid any reckless actions, but he cuts off her call and kills all the fellow soldiers. Jerome finally arrives at the scene. When he tries to remove the tubes, Dal-geon uses a remote-controlled bomb to destroy one, causing its contents to spill on Jerome. He starts to tremble with pain as blisters form on his face. Dal-geon places the antidote in front of Jerome, saying it will only be given once Jerome answers his questions. Jerome reveals that the tube was intended for a biochemical terror attack in Korea, and that he works for Excess, a global financing company. In response, Dal-geon throws the antidote away. As Jerome tries to retrieve it, Dal-geon crushes it underfoot and tells Jerome to remember his nephew Cha-hoon when he's in hell. Finally, Dal-geon throws a grenade as he leaves, destroying the entire building. Edward Park, Yoon-han, Min, and Mickey head to Korea to seize control of the oil drilling project. Meanwhile, Hae-ri arrives in Korea, preparing to meet with the prince. Dal-geon is also in Korea, waiting for his target as part of a U.S. operation, unaware that his next target is Hae-ri. Suddenly, Dal-geon's sniper partner fires at Hae-ri's car, causing it to stop. As Hae-ri exits her car, Dal-geon is both surprised and distressed. His partner is about to shoot Hae-ri, but Dal-geon intervenes by killing his partner to save her. Hae-ri quickly escapes from the scene. The remaining part of the story will be revealed in the next sequel. Thanks for watching. Press the subscribe button to watch more cool videos.